Good evening, everyone. I'm Divya Chaudhary, and it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to this webinar on social entrepreneurship. This webinar is today organized by DG Saksham, and we would like to extend a special welcome to our guest, Dr. Indrajit Goswami sir, who will be guiding us today. The organizers, STEM Welfare Foundation, is a not-for-profit entity established to work in the areas of education, social welfare, women empowerment, skill development and entrepreneurship, livelihood generation, employability, health research, international cooperation, sports, environment protection, or any other similar sector. We promote healthy lives, balanced and active communities, strong businesses. It allows the volunteer members to concentrate on their energies and efforts on long-term goals when freed from day-to-day basis. So, DG Saksham is another initiative of SIMS Welfare Foundation and has developed content for over 300 courses in multiple languages, which range from 4 hours to 6 months in various sectors of IT, BFSI, retail, and entrepreneurship for all age groups from school children, youth, professionals, and senior citizens with over 6,000 trainings till date. In its short time of existence, SEMS Welfare Foundation is executing a skilling project for 600 inmates across two jails in the state of Haryana. Additionally, an MOU has also been signed to execute training in domains of entrepreneurship, livelihood generation, and capacity building to nearly 4,000 students and upskilling and faculty members of a prestigious university in Uttar Pradesh. So, about today's event. Social entrepreneurship is the process of recognizing and resourcefully pursuing opportunities to create social value. Social entrepreneurs are innovative, resourceful, and result oriented. They draw upon the best thinking in both the business and non-profit worlds to develop strategies that maximize their social impact. To enlighten us on the topic, as I mentioned earlier, today we have Dr. Indrajit Goswami sir. He has acquired his MSW degree from Visva Bharati Central University and IISWBM Kolkata. He obtained PhD in Professional Ethics in 2007 from JRN University, Udaipur. Later, he continued his learning journey and obtained 28 certificates from Northwestern University, Michigan University, Yale and Harvard University, and other platforms. He has over 25 years of experience in PG teaching and academic consultancy research and served institutions across India, including NGOs. He has authored three books, contributed chapters in seven edited books, published more than 40 research articles in peer reviewed journals, including Emerald, Sage, Scopus, and UGC Care. Dr. Goswami is a serving as article editor, editorial board member, advisory board member, and technical committee member in several national and international journals, including Sage, Harvard Business Review, and IEEE. So today, for this webinar, he is guiding us. So I request Dr. Indrajit Goswami sir to take this event over.
Thank you, Divya, for beautiful introduction. See, dear participants, a very good evening to all of you, and I'll be. I hope that definitely there are some participants, those who had attended my earlier session, which was on 9th of July. So that time I delivered on a session. The topic was personal branding. So there is some link, some relationship, but I am not going to highlight the previous points, whatever I
Yes,
have done, yeah, whatever I have discussed in my last session. So today, I am going to talk something about social entrepreneurship. So actually, this is a paper, this is a subject we have in the executive MBA program at our institute, that is Universal Business School. So that program is designed for the working executives, those who are working in corporates. So I teach this particular subject to them in the current cohort. So that's why when I got this invitation from DG Saksham, I was very happy that okay, something which I am dealing with, something which I am discussing in the classrooms. So I'll be very much comfortable, and definitely I can help the participants to have some insights about what is this concept, what are the theoretical foundations, and What is social entrepreneurship per se, in terms of its meaning, in terms of its scope, in terms of its possibilities, opportunities, understand, and different factors. So that is the background. Just I give you some data. Uh, you can, if you have a pen or pencil, you can note down. If not, don't worry, this is available online. If you just go to Google and if you enter into British Council portal, British Council of India, they have conducted one survey on non-profit sector, that is social entrepreneurship sector. And there they have found some data, some results which they have published in their report. It is very much, very much interesting. What it says, the report says that in majority of social enterprises or in majority of non-governmental organizations, there are different terminologies. I will try to give you an idea about what are the different organizations which may come under the fold of or folder of social entrepreneurship. So it could be non-profit organizations, even it could be a business organization which is running with a purpose, at the same time making some profit. That is also a social enterprise. So see, it has different classifications, it has different categories. So we are not going into that detail to understand the differences between them. It will consume a lot of time. So we'll start our discussion from what is entrepreneurship, what are the different theoretical foundations. It's not so important for you, but since it is a more a kind of academic and a kind of practical topic, so we must know little bit about the theoretical background so that it helps us to understand, to think, to think and to be very critical in terms of observation, in terms of interpretation, in terms of assessment, in terms of reviewing opportunities and options. So that's why theoretical foundation is a little bit important for us, and that helps us to build different kind of assumptions, to take different kind of decisions, to make different kind of questions to ourselves. So there is a lot, a huge set of activities, and which is called sometimes preparatory activities before you jump into some entrepreneurship venture. So let me share with you first the British Council data, so you will have an understanding that what is the trend of social enterprise in India. Majority of the social enterprise, majority of the social enterprise leadership is under the young persons. Understand? The majority of the social entrepreneurs are young in terms of their age. 57% of this total, social enterprises, 57% of the total enterprises are 5 years old. You can understand. There are 1,19,241 1,19,241 voluntary organizations or non-governmental organizations registered working in India. Registered. Although this study was conducted on a sample of 248 social enterprises, not all. So whatever data I am sharing with you, it is based on a study or survey where sample size was 248 social enterprises. Okay, so 57% of them are 5 years old, just 5 years old. So you can understand this is an emerging field. This is an emerging field, or a field emerging powerfully in India, or you can say resurgent India. 20% of those young leaders, those who are running social enterprises, are women. So still there is a gender gap, huge gender disparity is there. But here, because we do not have a kind of empirical input so that we can go further to understand why only 20% social entrepreneurship is led by female entrepreneurs. So that's a different question. Some of the research scholars may have some interest to note this particular information, and if they have some kind of idea to write a research paper or do a small research project, so they can do it to understand the pattern of relationship, pattern of leadership, or the trend of leadership in the social enterprise sector. That's a different thing. Now, let me give you some another set of data which will make it little bit clear to you what different types of functional areas, what different types of domains those social enterprises or those social businesses or those social organizations. There are different terms. Those social enterprises, those social businesses, or those social organizations are working. 53% of the social enterprise in India are working in the skill development sector. Skill development sector. I'm talking about the registered social enterprises. If there are 1,20,000 registered NGOs in India, then you can understand at least equal percentage, another 100%, you will find that different organizations are working in different community points, those who may not be registered under Societies Registration Act or Trusteeship Act or different other legislations. So 53% of them are existing or functioning in the skill development sector, 30% in the education sector, 16%, 16% in the food and nutrition sector, 17% in the non-farm livelihood, that is not agriculture, not goatery, or not, understand, they are not engaged in dairy, they are not engaged in goatery, piggery, or poultry, or fishery. Try to understand. 17% of NGOs working in the non-farm livelihood, and only 3% NGOs are working in the human rights, understand? Human rights, justice, all those issues. So this is the overall composition of type of NGOs, and sometimes this is a percentage. This is not an exclusive percentage. It is an inclusive percentage because some NGOs have a kind of overlapping functional areas. So working in skill development, at the same time they might be working in the human rights. They are working in the food nutrition. At the same time they might be working in the education sector. So this is a kind of distribution British Council has done to understand what different types of functional areas the registered social enterprises or voluntary organizations in India are working. So now I will go into my main presentation or discussion. Before that, I would like to, I'd like to conduct a very quick test, which you all can put messages in the chat box, your answer, so that I will try to get a kind of feel from the Digi Saksham panel, those who are sitting on the other side, and I'll see how much preparedness or how much information you all have in terms of social entrepreneurship as a subject or as a career option. This is the first statement given on the screen. So if I ask you, please find out a suitable word to fill in the gap, so that there is a comprehensive and concrete meaning of this sentence. While there is no recipe for becoming a successful entrepreneur, certain dash are important to become one. So Even the DigiSaksham can allow participants to respond through voice messages also, no issue. Just I want to see.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Certain
please.
characteristics.
ठीक है, some other responses, let me get it from the audience. Audience, please respond. Don't waste time. I'm not getting. Please unmute and respond. What, according to you, would be the appropriate word to fill the gap here and give us a concrete meaning, which is useful, meaningful, applicable?
Yes, sir. There are mostly qualities.
Qualities. Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So, okay, no issue. So even if somebody has written qualities, it is a right answer. If someone has written attitudes, again, it is the right answer. If someone has
Savita Singh is saying characteristics.
yes, it is also a right answer. So either it could be qualities, or someone could write attitudes, or someone could write characteristics. That is important to become an entrepreneur. Okay, there is a lot of sound is coming, Dibya, on the background. Okay.
Yes,
so
sir.
please see the next sentence and please try to find out a suitable answer for that. One of the most important qualities associated with successful entrepreneurship is what? Is it intelligence? Is it interest? Or is it passion? What? Just 4-5 answers. If Dibya, you can communicate to me, or somebody can directly.
Passion, sir. It's passion.
Very good, passion. Yeah. If not, why not intelligence? Why not interest? So definitely there is some, reason. If there are many intelligent people, but all the intelligent people may not be a successful entrepreneur, isn't it? So intelligence alone is not an attribute to make somebody or to turn somebody as a successful entrepreneur. It is required. Definitely it is required. Interest, definitely it is essential, but interest alone cannot make you an entrepreneur. It is passion. It is passion. Chasing a dream. Chasing a dream. Even if I am defeated, I don't give up. Even if I am defeated, I don't give up. I don't leave the ground. I don't leave the ground, because entrepreneurship, in the beginning of entrepreneurship journey, you are passionate about to create something new, to benefit humanity, to serve humanity. Understand? Not just to make money, because my focus of discussion is social entrepreneurship. It is a social business. So when I am using the word business, please don't get confused. Business includes profit making and non-profit making organizations both. So if you just go through a standard definitions of business, it includes the non-profit sector also. Okay, so do not get confused. If you read some literature, somebody is using the word business, we have a kind of, prejudiced or kind of preset mind that business, oh yeah, they are talking about industries, they are talking about commerce, they are talking about sales, profit, revenue. May not be. Business includes both profit making and non-profit making organizations. Okay, so whenever I am using the word that, yes, in the beginning of any entrepreneurship, the passion is more important, because I am not running after money. I am not doing something to earn money. In social entrepreneurship, money is a secondary choice. It may come, may not come. It may be one of the objective or purpose of my initiative or endeavor, but this is not the sole purpose of my venture, of my initiative. That's why passion is the most appropriate word here. What is the answer here? If I think I can. This is the code, or this is the phrase for you. If I think, I can. Now, the following sentence you read and fill with the appropriate word. Another key quality of the successful entrepreneur is what? Self-awareness, self-confidence, or self-perception. Just one or two answers, Divya, you can coordinate and let me know.
Yes, sir. Neeraj Kumar is saying self-confidence. Savita Singh is also saying
Yes, sir. I
self-confidence.
think so.
Is there any other answer coming from the audience? One or two?
Self perception, sir.
Self-perception. Okay. Any other answer? Okay, I'm not taking much time. Self-confidence is the right answer, because self-perception sometimes may be wrong. Self-awareness needs to be improved every day. My self-awareness today and my self-awareness tomorrow will be different. So self-awareness can be an attribute, because someone may not be self-aware. It is not very essential. It is not very essential. Self-perception may be sometimes wrong. I perceive myself as a useless fellow. I perceive myself, I can't do anything in life. But someday somebody came to my life, inspired me, fired me, and then I become a successful entrepreneur. There are many such examples available. So what is most important here? If I think I can, it indicates self-confidence. Understand? So there are 5 such statements, 3 done, another 2 statements, 5 statements. These 5 inputs are very important for us to become a successful entrepreneur, social entrepreneur. This one, entrepreneurs are dash. They do not wait for others to tell them what to do. What is the right answer? Entrepreneurs are leaders.
Self-reliant. Self-reliant.
Very good. Who is this answering to me? May I know your name, please? Because I cannot see the screen. I am only on the PPT screen.
I am Dr. Digambar Datis.
Very good, Dr. Digambar. Right answer. Definitely, it is self-reliant, the right word which can fill this gap. Entrepreneurs are self-reliant. They are not leaders. In the beginning, you may not know the leadership skills. You may not know the different leadership theories. You may not have read some research papers on leadership. Okay? And simply you cannot become a dreamer. Only dreaming is not entrepreneurship. Putting my dreams into action, putting my ideas into action, my entrepreneurship journey begins. Definitely the journey begins from a dream, but only dream cannot help me to become an entrepreneur. The dream has to be converted into an idea, and then idea must be something which is feasible. Idea must be something which is feasible. I cannot dream to open a restaurant in Moon. I cannot dream to open a restaurant in Prasant Mahasagar. I cannot just dream to open a restaurant in the North Pole or South Pole. The idea means what? I can have a dream. Dream can be anything, but dream has to be converted into some feasible idea which you can steer and transform into some actions and results. So next one, if your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then you can own it, you can buy it, you can achieve it. What is the right answer? Dr.
Achieve
Digambar.
it, I think.
Achieve it.
Achieve it.
Yes, it is the right answer. Achieve it. Right answer. Because it is not something I own, it is not something I buy, but it is something, it is a goal. So that goal I achieve. So if I conceive it and if I believe in it, so that is very important. So if you conceive it and if you don't believe in it, you can never become an entrepreneur. Maybe you can succeed as a businessman, you can run a tea shop, you can run a mobile recharge shop. So there are many such people, those who could not be or considered as entrepreneurs. Please, whenever you go out of your home, in a market and you see a lot of pan shop, bidi shop, and the mobile recharge. They are all doing petty small businesses. They are all doing petty small businesses. They cannot be defined as an entrepreneur. Understand? Their mind conceived something and they might not have believed in it. They have seen that similar people are earning money, so they have opened the store and they are also earning money. It's not an entrepreneurship. Please be very, very clear here. This is an indicative slide. This is an indicative slide. Might be I have uttered that particular word, or I have given some interpretation in my earlier interpretations. Please see these four,
I think, sir, ideas. All the picture posters are talking about ideas or visions.
very good. Again, it is Dr. Dutt.
Digambar Date.
Yes, yeah, Digambar Dutt. Yeah, very good, Digambar. Thank you so much. You are right, because it is visible that each and every piece of graphs talking about one similar word, that is idea. So dream is not the only source of becoming an entrepreneur. It is an idea. Idea which will be sold in market, which can be sold in market. Sold means in terms of profit, in terms of acceptance. The idea will be accepted by people. Of this idea can be converted into some product and service, and I can offer it to people, and in exchange I can earn some money. I'll be giving you some examples in the following slides. There are examples also. So I think all of us are together here. All of us are together. There is no confusion that who is a prospective entrepreneur? A person who has an idea for doing something which can benefit people, which can contribute to economy, which can transform life of certain sections of society, which can uplift and upgrade our existing ecosystem and environment. Anything, the idea which carries some value, some power to change the mindset, to change the attitude of people, to change the way people look to life and opportunities. So such an idea, the main ingredient to start your journey as an entrepreneur. Very important. Please quickly read this slide. It is very important. Quickly read. Ardeshir Godrej, I can tell you the person who initiated the kingdom of Godrej Industries in India. See here, because it is very purposive. Why I have included this slide? It is purposive. I'll explain my purpose. He attempted to become a lawyer. He failed, and then he he wanted to become a chemist. Again, it didn't went well. It was not good with him. So first he wanted to become a lawyer. He could not. He wanted to succeed as a chemist. That didn't go well. Then he borrowed some money from father and started manufacturing surgical equipment which can be supplied to hospital. That too could not take him so far. Understand? Later he entered into lock making. There is an incident, because it is a big case study, so I could not bring the entire case on this particular slide. Where from he got the idea of lock making? At that particular time, there was an incident in Mumbai. A person lodged an FIR in a police station that my house was broken, my door was broken, and there was a stealing. Somebody came inside and stole my belongings, my valuables. Understand? So that time, Ardeshir Godrej got an idea. Can I find out a solution? Can I find out a solution to help people so that they can have some kind of feeling of security, safety at their homes. And then he started his venture as a lock making entrepreneur. So when he entered into this particular venture, that time he was really an entrepreneur. Earlier attempts, he was not an entrepreneur. He was influenced by something else. Okay? He might have a self-perception, wrong self-perception that I can become a lawyer. He had a self-perception, self-awareness that I can go and become a chemist. No. But when he came to know about the situation in Mumbai, that people are feeling insecure at their homes, that burglary, stealing is increasing in the city, then he got an idea that yes, I have to do something and help people to get back their feeling of security and safety. And that man later stage entered into real estate, appliances, security, FMCG products, so many things, and established the, what we can say, this kingdom or an empire, a Godrej empire. So beginning, he was not an entrepreneur. He was not an entrepreneur, definitely. Okay. So he didn't have that particular kind of attribute. He could not find out that attribute that he has something inside and he should do something else. That idea was never with him. He was trying and doing something else. He could not succeed because he had no passion for it. He might have interest for those things. He might have found some opportunities in that, but he had no passion. When the passion came to his heart, when he had observed people suffering from pain, suffering from some problems, some issues, and he wanted to find out some solutions, he wanted to be a savior of them, for them. And then he got an interesting idea of lock making. So lock making, definitely it was a successful venture. Still Godrej locks are very famous, one of the very renowned world brand. So you all can understand. Now I am giving it is from the olden days, an example from the olden days, 150 years old, example. Now this is a very recent example. Tilak Mehta, 13 years old. He had an idea and he has become the youngest Forbes panelist. He was invited on the TEDx platform to deliver speech, and he has been awarded as a youngest entrepreneur in India and South Asia. Who is Tilak Mehta? Where from he got the idea? This is an ideal example of entrepreneurship. Okay, it's an ideal example of entrepreneurship. So their family lives in Bombay suburbs. So one fine evening, he found that he needed some books, textbooks, but he was not having those textbooks, and those textbooks were available with some of his friends who were living on the other side of the colony. And that time, might be it was raining or some other adverse conditions. So he could not go there, and he was waiting for his father to return home. But after seeing his father exhausted and all, he could not propose to father, "Father, shall I go there? Father, can I go to him and take the textbooks?" He could not ask him. And that particular pain, that he could not read the text which he was looking for, that pain has given birth a noble idea which he has converted into a successful business venture. He is an ideal example of social entrepreneur. His venture catering services to thousands of people every day. And in return, definitely he is earning some profit, some revenue. But his passion generated not to earn money. His passion generated to find out a solution of this kind of problems of so many other students, so many other children, so many other people. So therefrom the idea was born, and Tilak Mehta at the age of 13 become the youngest entrepreneur in India. So this is a good example. So what is an entrepreneur and who is an entrepreneur? I have given you two examples from two different regimes. And then again, I am asking you a question: what is an entrepreneur and who is an entrepreneur? It is a dream, definitely, or it is an idea which I have to live with. Living with an idea, not for idea. You have to understand there is a difference. Living for an idea, living with an idea are different. So if entrepreneurship is something new, an idea, then you have to transform yourself as the idea. You yourself become the idea. Whatever you carry the idea with you, you carry the promises with you, you carry the prosperity with you, lot of possibilities. So the entrepreneur, what is an entrepreneur and who is an entrepreneur? They are diffused and becomes a single entity. That means I have a dream, but if I do not live my dream, I can never become an entrepreneur. Tilak, that young entrepreneur, had a dream, had an idea, and he lived that idea. That then only he became the youngest successful entrepreneur. Got my point? So these two are very synonymous. What is an entrepreneur? An object. And who is an entrepreneur is a person. So person and object mates and diffuses and becomes a single entity. And then an entrepreneur is born. An entrepreneur is not born. The idea is on table and I am on the other side of table. The idea is in the book and I am reading this book. Unless until the idea comes inside me and dissolves in my DNA, I just become that idea. I cannot become an entrepreneur. So the same thing happened with Tilak Mehta, but the same thing happened with Mr. Godrej, but in the later stage of life. So very quickly, if you have any kind of question, any kind of query, you can ask me, because this particular portion is also important, because I know there are many participants who have come from academic world. So attending a webinar may have different objectives. So one of the objectives might be to understand the subject academically, to understand the subject from the research point of view, to understand the subject as something to be planned and implemented. Okay, so there are a lot of purposes. There are many participants attending this particular talk with so many different objectives. But theoretical background, knowing theoretical background a little bit is important for us. So I'll talk about two sets of theories only. I'm not going into discussing different other theories from across the globe. No, I'm not going to do that. There's two theories I'll talk about, which I have sourced from some research paper, because I am a researcher, an academician. So definitely whatever I am talking, it is not that my mind is talking or my heart is talking. That is there, but data, empirical evidences, inputs, definitely I have sourced from authentic documents and sources. So the first set of theory, which is very popular among the researchers, a lot of empirical researches have been done. Hundreds and hundreds of researches have been done with the first theory. That is, entrepreneurship is a function of differences across people in stable attributes, characteristics. So they have tried to look into a cross-sectional analysis to understand that there is something different among the entrepreneurs in terms of their characteristics, in terms of their attributes, which are powerful to a larger degree, understand, in terms of significance statistically. So those attributes or those characteristics are little bit stronger in a section of people those who later become the entrepreneurs. So that way, a set of researchers have conducted observations, their research intervention, statistical analysis, and draw a conclusion where they have concluded that a set of people, those who are much better in terms of some attributes or characteristics compared to the other groups, they can become, they are prone to become, because when they draw conclusion, they will draw conclusion this way. So they are prone to become successful entrepreneurs. Okay, and this particular theory has lot of critique. This particular theory has lot of critique because entrepreneurship is not something which can be empirically validated. An empirical study cannot validate me to become a successful entrepreneur. I'm reading an empirical research study and I find I go to the conclusion and then I find 2-3 attributes. I find those attributes in me that does not guarantee that I am going to become a successful entrepreneur. Understand? So that is important, that is required. Nobody rules out the importance of empirical studies in understanding, interpreting, okay, describing the entrepreneurship as a kind of social activity or economic activity. That has a value, definitely. But when you look into the other set of theories, we find a new alternative, new thoughts, new philosophy, where the theories based on the existence of opportunities and the actions of agents, and not simply based on the characteristics of agents. You understand? The first set of activities, the first set of theories, when they talk about some set of characteristics, important, only factor to become a successful entrepreneur. Second set of theory is more comprehensive, and they are talking about only characteristics of the agents are not everything. This is required, this is important, but at the same time, opportunities, actions of some big stakeholders, actions of some stakeholders, primary stakeholders, secondary stakeholders, that is also important. What kind of policy government is making, what kind of market is coming up in India, Indian economy is opening up or not, what percentage of Indian population is looking for something, what percentage of Indian population is suffering from something. So contextual evidences, that means what? I told you one thing, you cannot think about running a restaurant in moon and you can never become it is not an entrepreneurial idea. Okay, it is not an entrepreneurial idea. That opening a restaurant under the 10,000 feet of the sea level, that is not a feasible idea. But there are, in Hong Kong, if you go in Dubai, there are some restaurants underwater, but that is simulated, artificially created and linked to the main source of water, and they are located very close to the shore of sea, not in the deep sea. Understand? Feasibility, that is very important to understand. So what I'm talking, contextuality is very important. Only passion is not everything here, only interest is not everything here. Okay, I have a support system. So this is the, I can tell you, the modern concept of the modern theories of entrepreneurship talk about very promising elements, talk about very supportive elements, along with your passion, along with your interest, along with your motivation. I have motivation to do something, but I do not have a supportive environment. That ecosystem is not there. Ecosystem is not there. If the ecosystem is not existing, I may fail. Even though I have passion, I may fail. Tell me, if someone is trying to become a very good English medium school, for example, I am talking about a particular area where Taliban is very active in Afghanistan, and somebody is talking about that I will start a newspaper, a media office in an active geographical area, in a very in a prominent geographical area in Afghanistan where Taliban are very active. Is it a feasible idea? Okay, Government can take this initiative. Government can have police protection. Government can have defense protection. Government can do something, but an individual entrepreneur cannot dream to run a media house in a particular, threatful zone which is under control of Talibans. So passion is there, interest is there, but my contextual system, ecosystem is not there. I am going to have so many obstacles, so many, unfavorable situations which may not help me to succeed in my venture. So the two sets of theories, very at the minimum, basic minimum level, we need to understand, and we have to understand the protagonistic views. We have to understand the antagonistic views. So what is there, the merits, what is the demerits, who are supporting this theory, who are not supporting this theory, who are talking against, if somebody is talking against, what is their merit in their comments. So understanding, observation, debating, and then conceptualizing, then planning, then selecting an idea, then starting the business. Business means venture I'm talking about. Then you are an entrepreneur. So these are the two main theoretical foundations to understand social entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship in general. So I was talking about some contextual support system or the contextuality. That means a kind of environment, a kind of situation which facilitate the growth of an entrepreneur, which facilitate the birth of so many entrepreneurs, and something which is inducive, something which is motivational. So that kind of environment, that kind of support structure is very important in terms of finance, in terms of policy, in terms of institutional framework, in terms of physical infrastructure. Okay, so many things. If I am going to start a school, I must ensure that there are students who demand some school. Got my point? So I'm passionate about to run a school, to start a school. But if I do not have like-minded or the demanding students in that particular area, so I should not establish my school. I should not start that particular idea into action in that particular area. I have to change my area. I can change my geographical area, my district, understand. So these are very important. So what are the things here? Locus of changes, which talk about opportunities. I have given in terms of points. It is from a research paper. The creation of new products or services. This is an area which can give birth to some entrepreneurs. Okay. The idea can stem from the discovery of new geographical market. That this product is a hit in this market, the product I can take it to the new market. This happened to the water purifier, very simple water purifier by Hindustan Unilever. They designed that small, low-cost water purifier, and it was a big hit in India. And then they had taken it to the global market. When this was successful in Indian subcontinent, the Hindustan Unilever or Unilever Corporation, they thought about why not this product to be promoted in other markets. It may emerge from creation or discovery of new raw materials. New raw materials. Somebody is using water to prepare some cold drinks. Somebody is using water as a raw material to prepare ice for fish market, and somebody is using water to create a kind of steam engine, for example, just for example. So that emerge from the creation of discovery of new raw materials. Suddenly somebody finds in the market that there is a huge bumper production of tomato in India, or bumper production of tamarind in India. Somebody can develop an idea about, okay, I may go for agro-based industries, food processing industry. Similar way, it can emerge from new methods of production. Even it can be generated from new ways of organizing, work from home. How it is possible work from home? Software is there, technology is there. That's why work from home is possible. So what I'm talking about through this slide, that types of opportunities. That means a support system and environment is also important to nurture your dream, to nurture your passion, to help you to lead your dream to become a successful entrepreneur. I'm not going here because it will take time. So these two are very important. So the theory which I have talked, second one, the second theory, okay, there are 4 dimensions. So I have not touched 2 dimensions because it will take a lot of time. So these 2 are very important. Supply versus demand side changes. I generate an idea by analyzing the supply demand feature in the market. And I told you, if there is a huge production of potato, I can think to run a chips making venture. The idea is feasible because lot of potatoes, there is no sufficient storages. Cold storages are not there. Understand? So the produce is going to be wasted. So I can buy raw material in cheaper cost, and I can think it as a very profitable, very feasible business idea. Understand? Social entrepreneurship, Amul Cooperative. Amul Cooperative. There was a demand for milk and milk products in India, and there was no such well organized milk production system that time. When Korean developed this idea, yes, I can encourage the rural woman, I can create a lot of cooperatives, and I can collect milk from cooperatives, and I can run a cooperatives, entire organization, entire operation in cooperative mode. And see, he brought the white revolution in India. He is one of the most successful social entrepreneur in the contemporary India. It is a business organizations, but what amount of benefits it creates for its stakeholders, the producers, those who are supplying the raw material, that is the milk, their economy improved, their empowered, their quality of life improved. Although Amul Cooperative is not, a contemporary, is not a contemporary profit-making organization per se that way. If you see it, it is a cooperative society. They are doing it. So their objective is to make the milk and milk products affordable to millions of customers. Affordable, very important. So Amul is a type of entrepreneurial venture which falls in both the categories. Profit making business organization, now it has turned into a business organization. It has become a Indian MNC, huge operation catering to the entire world. Many countries, they are exporting their milk products. Now it is a business. At the same time, Amul is an example of successful social entrepreneur. Supply versus demand, this particular relationship gives birth. So you have to understand, the entrepreneur has to understand supply side, raw material, demand side. You have to feel that yes, there is a demand for something in the market. So why pizza came into, why fast food came into our market, because there was a demand. And later on, through promotion, through marketing, through advertising, we have generated interest in other sections of society in favor of fast food. Initiator of change. They are kind of innovators. They are innovators. They do not look into the supply and demand. They are innovators. Research-based universities have come into India. Skill-based university. Example given the next slide. Creating learning opportunity through online platform for working executives. Innovative idea. They are initiator of change. Understand? I was waiting. I was going to school. I was going to college, going to school, going to college, sitting in class. I was looking for some training option. Where from I can get training. Suddenly I found a platform, Coursera, ADX, that I can do some course from the foreign university sitting in India. That was not generated in my mind. Some entrepreneur had this idea in his mind. They initiated the change process. Now millions of students are going to online and studying and doing. Okay. that change was initiated. It was not change felt by people. You understand this, no? Say we are promoting plastic free environment. What is this plastic free environment? If government just take a decision that plastic can be used, crores of people will use plastic because it's so cheap and so durable. But this is an initiative. We are trying to become sustainable. We are thinking about future. We are environment friendly consumer. So we are trying to understand, yes, we have to have a kind of change in our mindset, our attitude, our behavior, and we have to reject plastic. So this is a kind of innovative idea which brings into the market or into the society, into the life of people, which brings some changes, new changes. There was no demand, but I bring in the concept. I am an innovator. Okay, so there are so many examples. I'm not going into that because I'm also looking into the clock. Just 2 lines I'll tell you. Who is a social entrepreneur? Who is an entrepreneur? Definitely it is an individual who creates new opportunities or new business, new venture, bearing most of the risk and enjoying most of the rewards. Very important. In the beginning, my risk is very high. At the same time, because though I do not know what is going to be my future, whether my business is going to be successful or not, I do not know. But I know the idea has potential to be successful. So now I have to chase it. I have to execute it so that I can achieve my goal. So it is a journey from pain to rewards. It's a journey from uncertainty to certainty. It's a journey from zero to some numbers. Okay. These are the points you can just remember. I am not reading because time is going. Just I take you to a different slide. Okay. Nature of entrepreneurship. I would like to take you to this, small YouTube video. Please listen with me. It is around 10-12 minutes. After that, we can conclude and then we can discuss.
हिंदुस्तान की कहानी है। जब हम छोटे थे, एक लोअर मिडिल क्लास परिवार से थे, where you would struggle to put food on the table in the last week of the month. मैंने करियर लॉन्च शुरू कर चुका था, मेरे पास 5,000 रुपए थे बैंक में और मैं निकल पड़ा था अपनी कंपनी बनाऊं। बस आपको अगर जुनून है, प्यार है तो करते चले जाइए, पता नहीं क्या होने वाला है। I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and what I'm going to do is to share perhaps 4 learnings from my life which might be useful for you, and I'll start by sharing what I think is the golden mantra which has worked out for me in the last 25 years. And that mantra is, if I am clear about what I want to do and I'm willing to do that unconditionally at any cost, then in the long run, the payback begins to happen, even if there is no apparent payback at the time that you set out to. So let me start by sharing a little bit of my background, because I think जो मेरी कहानी है वो हिंदुस्तान की कहानी है। जब हम छोटे थे, एक लोअर मिडिल क्लास परिवार से थे। उस जमाने में शायद 99% of India was that bracket or lower, where you would struggle to put food on the table in the last week of the month. There is nothing called bank balance, mutual funds, fixed deposits. That's not the family that I come from. And most of India was like that. There's no radio at home, no television. The biggest asset that we would have had was a bicycle that my father used to ride to his office. So imagine that home with 4 children, but the parents were very rich in their imagination. The parents were very committed that the only way the future of the family will be built is by giving education to children. And I'm very happy to be sharing this story because I think this is a story of India. And maybe I'll come back and close it at the end by sharing something more. Let me get to the first sub story within this. You'll be surprised to know I spent 10 years of my life from the age of 12, 13 to about 21 doing nothing but playing cricket. I was picked up by Vishen Bedi from Meerut, brought to Delhi, got me admitted to a school, and I had no other dream but to play cricket for India. और पागलपन इतना इस कदर था कि मैं 12वीं का एग्जाम देने से इनकार कर दिया. I walked up to my father and told him that this year I'm not going to do the class 12th examinations. They were quite shocked. Perhaps the first lesson, a very big lesson that I learned from that experience was that as a 17-year-old, when I walked up and persuaded my parents कि मुझको एग्जाम इस साल नहीं देना है, उस वाकये से ये हुआ कि I took responsibility of outcome onto myself, because in a blink next year exams had come and इस बार मुझको फिर एग्जाम देना था. So one learning from that was that after that I went on to go to an IIM and started a company. So this 1 year loss जो हमको कहा जाता है वो कोई लॉस नहीं होता है, लेकिन उस 1 year इन्वेस्ट करके अगर एक 17 साल का बच्चा अपने हिसाब से अपने जिंदगी के डिसीजंस लेने की अगर सलाहियत अर्न कर लेता है, it is worth the 1 year. So one lesson that I would want to share with all of you is, as a youngster, whether you are 15 or you're in your 30s or wherever you are, take your call and then take responsibility of outcome onto yourself. That's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, at 21, my cricketing career was going nowhere. And then I had to see, what do I do? I learned about IIMs. I gave the exams. I got a call. At that time, there were only 4 IIMs in India. और मुझको एक ही कॉल मिला था, which means मैंने बड़ी मुश्किल से शायद रिटर्न एग्जाम को क्लियर किया होगा. और इत्तेफाकन की बात है, अब देखिए कि मेरा 19-20 मिनट का जो इंटरव्यू हुआ उसमें उन्होंने शायद 19 मिनट क्रिकेट के बारे में मेरे से बात किया. The nearest it came to asking about my academics was कि स्विंग बॉलिंग का कौन सा थ्योरम, कौन सा साइंटिफिक थ्योरी इस्तेमाल होता है, जो मुझको किसी तरह मालूम था. बर्नौलीज थ्योरम करके मैंने बोल दिया, बड़े खुश हो गए. और आखिरी 1 मिनट में मुझसे उन्होंने एक गाना गाने को कहा, और एक मूवी का गाना है पुराना, आपको याद होगा, रात कली एक ख्वाब में आई और गले का हार हुई. मैंने वो गाना गाया और मैं IIMB चला गया. IIMB का जो मेरा तजुर्बा है, वहाँ से मेरी एक बड़ी अच्छी सीख है. जब मैं 2 साल के बाद ग्रेजुएट हुआ, मैं अपने क्लास के रैंकिंग्स में बॉटम से 15th रैंक था. तो 160 जनों का बैच, मेरा रैंक 146. इतना कंपटीशन है वहाँ पर, इतनी टैलेंट है कि ऐसा नहीं कि वहाँ जाकर मैं टाइम पास कर रहा था, लेकिन द रॉ टैलेंट इज सो मच that you quickly have to discover your strengths. And one thing that I learned during my stay in the IIM amongst all these bright people is talent is not everything. Talent के साथ आपको जिंदगी में सक्सेसफुल होना है तो मेहनत करने की कैपेबिलिटी होनी चाहिए, कर्मठता होना चाहिए, पीपल स्किल्स होने चाहिए, थोड़ा बहुत विजन होना चाहिए, कुछ पर्पस लेड होना चाहिए. अदरवाइज आप टैलेंट का क्या करेंगे अगर ये सब नहीं है. तो मुझको जब मैं बाहर निकला, मेरे को क्लैरिटी बिल्कुल मिल चुका था कि इस जैसे टैलेंटेड लोगों के साथ मैं रेस में भागूंगा कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में, मैं तो 55 साल तक भागता ही रहूंगा, मैं कुछ मीनिंगफुल काम नहीं करूंगा. दैट्स एपिसोड 2. एपिसोड 3 ऑफ माय लाइफ, वेरी वेरी वैल्यूएबल. आप सोचिए कि माताजी मेरी जो हैं मैदा लेकर, पानी डालकर, गरम कर उन्होंने मैदा का गोंद बनाकर मुझको प्लास्टिक बाल्टी में डाल के दिया. मैंने करियर लॉन्च शुरू कर चुका था, मेरे पास 5,000 रुपये थे बैंक में और मैं निकल पड़ा था अपनी कंपनी बनाऊंगा। अब सोचिए कि 5,000 रुपये में आप क्या बना लोगे। उस वक्त का 5,000 आज के शायद 30,000 40,000 के बराबर हो सकता है।
I'm a doctor by profession and
तो रात को मैं बाल्टी लेकर, पोस्टर्स मेरे स्कूटर के पीछे लगे हुए हैं, मैंने तार से बांधा हुआ है और मैं दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में घूम रहा हूँ। और उतर कर हिंदू कॉलेज और स्टीफेंस के सामने उतर कर 10 पोस्टर निकाले, सड़क पे रखा, पेस्ट किया, फिर गली मुड़कर किरोड़ी मल और हंसराज चले गए, फिर SRCC चले गए, फिर खालसा चले गए, फिर रात को 1 बजे IIT दिल्ली की तरफ चले गए, साउथ कैंपस कवर कर लिया। और रास्ते में कहीं पर LSR के बाहर पुलिस वाले ने रोक लिया। शक्ल से तो मैं बहुत स्मार्ट दिखता भी नहीं, और फिर उन्होंने कहा कि भाई 1:30 बजे तुम क्या कर रहे हो, ये घूम रहे हो। तो मैं कुछ बोला नहीं, क्योंकि अगर मैं कहता कि पोस्टर चिपका रहा हूँ तो पता नहीं बंद कर दे, डर लगता था। 23-24 साल का था मैं। तो शुरुआती जो एंटरप्रेन्योर की जर्नी है उसमें ये सब किया हुआ है, विच मीन्स आई वुड कम इन द मॉर्निंग, आई वुड राइट द कॉपी, आई वुड सिट विद द क्रिएटिव गाय, डिजाइन द पोस्टर। मैं रात को थॉमसन प्रेस के जो वेंडर उनके पास जाके पोस्टर छपवाता, अगले दिन रात को जाके मैं चिपका रहा होता हूँ। बच्चे आके एनरोल करते हैं तो रिसीट काटता, और शाम को 9 बजे वो क्लास के लिए आती है तो मैं जाके अंदर क्लास जाके आई वुड टीच देम पर्सनालिटी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम, कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, क्वांटिटेटिव एबिलिटी। मैं किस तरफ इशारा कर रहा हूँ? देखिए, एक मिथ होता है कि रिसोर्स कम होना at times it is a blessing in disguise. If you don't have money, you will bring your imagination, you will bring your new skills, you will learn new things, and then you want, because you don't have 5 lakhs in your bank account. अगर मेरे पास 5 लाख होता तो मैं 4 बच्चों को हायर करता, बोलता कि 50-50 पोस्टर्स ले जाओ, चिपका के आओ, और मुझको 3 दिन के बाद वो नाली में मिलता, क्योंकि उसमें नहीं करना होता। इस करके मुझको बहुत कुछ समझ में आया, क्योंकि मेरे पास वसाइल नहीं थे, रिसोर्सेस नहीं थे। और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का ये एक बहुत बड़ा ब्लेसिंग है। अगर आप एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की तरफ जा रहे हैं तो पैसे, फंडिंग वगैरह के बारे में जल्दी परेशान ना होइएगा। फर्स्ट थिंग यू नीड टू लर्न is to see what is it that I need to have skills to first build a company. अगर मुझको कल मार्केटिंग डायरेक्टर मेरे को आते हैं, क्या वो ये मुझको इस लायक समझते हैं कि मैं उनका बॉस हो सकता हूँ? फिनेंस, ऑप्स, HR, टेक्नोलॉजी, सब आपको मालूम होना चाहिए। और जब आपके पास शुरुआती दौर में फंडिंग नहीं होता है, पैसे नहीं होते हैं, वो गोल्डन पीरियड है, यू मस्ट सॉइल योर हैंड्स। आई हैड टू डू इट, आई वाज हेल्पलेस, but when I look back, and then now I speak with entrepreneurs, I tell them, and resourcefulness is a state of mind, being rich is a state of mind, being rich is never a state of your bank statement. And कहीं पर underlying इस principle को हमारे घर में मैं होते हुए 20-25 साल देखा था। जो मैंने आपको कहा कि जिस तरह की लोअर मिडिल क्लास फैमिली थी, लेकिन कभी भी मम्मी पापा ने किसी एंट्रेंस एग्जाम के लिए अगर 100 रुपए 50 रुपए भरना होता था तो मना नहीं किया, और कभी जाके शुगर खत्म हो गया करके पड़ोसियों से उधार भी नहीं मांगा। ये सब बड़े फंडामेंटल प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ लाइफ हैं। आप पीटर ड्रकर पढ़ लीजिए, कोटलर पढ़ लीजिए, कोई भी पढ़ लीजिए, जो हिंदुस्तानी माँ के चौथा बुक है, उसके जो फंडामेंटल्स हैं वो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के एब्सोल्युटली इनफॉलिबल फंडामेंटल्स है। और ये मेरी सीख रही है। दैट इज चैप्टर नंबर 3, इफ यू विल। I'll come to the last one, which is a chapter that began when I hit my 40. अचानक मैंने अपने टेनिस कोच साहब से पूछा कि सर आप किसी उर्दू पढ़ाने वाले को जानते हैं क्या? क्योंकि मुझको एक क्लैरिटी थी कि मरने से पहले मैं उर्दू ज़रूर सीखूंगा, या यूं कहिए कि उर्दू सीखे बगैर मैं मरूंगा नहीं, एज इफ इट इज़ इन माई हैंड्स। और मेरे टेनिस कोच साहब ने उसी दिन एक उस्ताद जी को भेज दिया, जो मेरे घर आने लगे, और मैं उर्दू सीखने लगा। तो मैंने उनसे उर्दू सीखी, लिखना, पढ़ना, फिर मैं अखबार पढ़ने लगा। तो एक जो एफर्ट से हो सकता था वो तो मैंने कर दिया था, which means I within a year I was fluent in reading and writing उर्दू बुक्स. एंड उसके बाद मैंने पिछले 7-8 साल में शायद ज्यादातर किताबें सिर्फ उर्दू की खरीदी. अब मैं घर पे सिर्फ संस्कृत बोलता हूँ. So the magical thing happened with me, and I think that's the lesson of life. If you start doing what you love without counting that इसका फायदा क्या होगा, बस आपको अगर जुनून है, प्यार है तो करते चले जाइए, पता नहीं क्या होने वाला है. And I would just surrender myself to wonderful possibilities which even I can't imagine. So the fourth chapter was about uh, the Urdu magic, uh, which is where I will kind of end my session by saying that the learning from there was, whether you are 35 or 45 or 55 or 65, I think we should never think that it's too late to do anything. When it is time, it is time. Don't look at your age. When I look at our potential, this is not about me. This is about every youngster. This is about every human being. Each one of us is able to reach the depths of our talent and convert our potential into a realized potential. I would like to close my session. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I'm available.
Yes, sir. We have one question. What is best advice to entrepreneurs who are having hard time during this pandemic?
Definitely. See, pandemic has brought in a kind of universal impact on people. So it has not discriminated rich and poor, haves and have-nots, or there is no discrimination in terms of class, caste, religion. So it's a period, hundreds and millions of people suffered, so I am also suffering. So I have to maintain patience, I have to have faith on myself, and I have to wait till the time turns on me. Till those days come back, definitely it is a period of pain, suffering, losses. Everybody can understand. So now government has also come forward with different types of schemes. So if I am doing something in the SME sector, there is some facility given by the government. So I can avail this. Some tax relief, some financial aid possible, some technical support system is there, training system is there, consultancy, free consultancy also given. So that is all about the business ventures. Social entrepreneurship. See, one important thing I am telling. So somebody is looking into the COVID-19 pandemic in a different way. Whether I am telling you that I have seen it a different way, that the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us what? To trust people. Teachers trusting students, allowing them to write exam from home. Tell me whether this trust was there 2 years back. No, no exam center would have allowed you to sit in home and write exam. But the COVID-19 pandemic has brought back our trust on people. In the beginning, we have a lot of eventualities. This is not there, that is not there. We are not allowed to interact. We are not allowed to go outside. We are not allowed to visit our family members, relatives. But we survived because theory of eventualities, we learned very well and governed our life. And now that particular habit, we have, even though there was some complacency, I cannot deny, but people have learned to cope up and adapt to such challenges and changes. And we have learned a new thing, a new theory has come to our life. That is theory of essentialism. People are not spending money, faltu money people not spending. People are trying to save money for future insecurities. Lot of things we have learned many things new, and we have reoriented our life, our philosophy, our practices, our behavior. Understand? So COVID-19 pandemic obviously brought so many challenges, but it has given us a lot of new teachings, lot of new learnings. So if as an entrepreneur, definitely I could have some pains, but I must have patience, faith on myself, faith on my time, faith on my fortune, faith on my God. and then definitely things will turn positive to me one day. Is there any other question?
Sir,
Yes, Dr.
respected sir,
Digambarji. Yes.
I want to raise a question regarding the long-term investment and long-term benefits of any new business. So, is it right environment or what we call context to dare to invest in long-term businesses? What's your
See,
opinion?
I tell you one thing, Dr. Digambar. It's a very interesting question. At the same time, it is very critical question for me to give you a very satisfactory answer. Why? See, everything depends on there needs to be some strategic mix. See, my interest, my passion, my idea. At the same time, what is the environment where I am living, the market, the opportunities. Understand? So, do I have that kind of capacity or potentiality to take that big risk? Investing 1 lakh and investing 10 lakh, they're two different things. If I'm very sure, if I'm very much confident that putting 10 lakh definitely will give me that much of build in future, I'll go for that. If not, I'll start a small, I'll start with small steps and I'll learn and then I'll explore. Definitely. And entrepreneurship is so vast field. If you are thinking to have, if you are thinking to translate some ideas into a venture, there are so many experts available in the market, domain specific experts. They can give you much better specific ideas to take up or to give up some new some ideas, some plans. So we have discussed here very basic thing, that is the fundamentals of entrepreneurship. What preparedness I need to have if I am dreaming to become an entrepreneur. That's why I brought in one beautiful video, that a person who is talking himself that what was kind of pains he suffered and experienced in his life to become successful. And I tell you one thing, being an entrepreneur is never a cakewalk. Never a cakewalk. Dhirubhai Ambani was an entrepreneur, but Mukesh Ambani is not an entrepreneur. Anil Ambani is not an entrepreneur. They are legacy. They are running the legacy of their father. They are businessmen. Who is an entrepreneur? Tilak Mehta, I have given example. An example. There are many similar examples, because hundreds and hundreds of examples are there. Shopify is a technological innovation. You are thinking that, okay, this is a tough time. I cannot go to market. Offline, I cannot run because I don't have that much of money. I just give you one small example, very, very practical example, which I have experienced through my daughter, I'm telling you. My daughter was looking for some beautiful product which she needs for her painting work. It is a washi tape. It is called washi tape. So washi tape, generally, where it is available in market, I do not know. So she was searching online, and she found one from on an Instagram account that one young lady in Kanpur or Noida, she imports that washi tape from China and Japan, and she sells it in India through online. So she contacted her through Instagram. She placed order and she bought. It was sent to her here in our residence by courier. This is a business going on. It's an innovative idea. I don't require a shop. I have some product with me. I have some customers online. I know where they are. I'm connecting to them through a social media platform, and I am using a rented payment app or something, and I'm using it. I'm getting money, selling my product, and I'm doing business. See, Shopify is a kind of innovation which has made the dreams of thousands of entrepreneurs possible in India. Not only in India, and abroad also. Because if you as an entrepreneur want to start a website, again, it requires money. Then a website is a huge thing. First you have to create, and then you have to run so many things, invest money, consult designer, the experts, and design it, so many things. It will it will drain out a lot of money. But Shopify creates opportunity for small entrepreneurs to come to that platform, register, and showcase their product, connect to customers, and start their venture. Understand, Dr. Digambar? So,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for answering my question in
Thank you
detail,
so
in
much.
depth. Thank you so much.
I also sincerely convey my thanks to you for your beautiful participation today.
Thank you so much, everyone attending this session, for sticking to up to the end. Those who did, and also thank you so much, sir, for this really enlightening session. And this section would like to thank you for giving us your precious time and sharing your knowledge with us. Also, thanks a lot to our audience. And we hope you gain knowledge today. We look forward to seeing you at the next event. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye to everybody.